The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org.
Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Stanley Dry from New Iberia, Louisiana, former senior editor of Food and Wine magazine, cookbook author, and kitchen gourmet columnist for Louisiana Life magazine. Welcome, Stanley. Glad you could be with us.
Thank you, Peggy.
Good to see you. Hello.
Good to be here.
And also making her Steppin Out debut, Asante Salam, the director of the Hellas Foundation John Scott Center, a museum and center dedicated to the legacy of artist John Scott. Welcome. Hello.
Thank you, Peggy.
Hi. Alexis Marceau, and she is the Community Relations and Development Manager for the Friends of Lafitte Greenway, here to talk about some updates along the Greenway. Now, Alexis is also a vocalist, percussionist, and band leader, and is a member of Sweet Crude and Alexis and the Samurai. And we'll have you back to talk about all that soon, okay?
Great. Thank you for having me, Peggy.
Of course. And Alan Smason,
hey
editor
there.
of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. Howdy, Alan.
Hey.
Hello. Poppy returns next week. Stanley, even though we think of this dish during cooler weather, actually any time is a good time for gumbo, don't you think?
Absolutely. You can always turn the air conditioning down.
That's it. Now, I know you've got two recipes to talk about, and the first one has okra in it. And so if you've got okra, do you need a roux?
Well, there are different theories on that. Some people use a roux, some don't. This recipe has a small amount of roux in it, but you could go either way.
I love that. And we should point out these photos that we're going to be showing you. Eugenia Yule is a wonderful, wonderful photographer and has been working with you in Louisiana Life magazine for a long time. Now, you also have shrimp, oyster, and crab meat. We'll take a look at that one, too. So with all of these, seafood, and gumbo and andouille. I mean, so you don't mind mixing the meat and the seafood?
Well, no, not really. I think the andouille or smoked sausage goes very well with seafood.
Yeah. Now, what about roux? I know that sometimes when people are making gumbos, a roux is sort of takes time consuming. Now, I know that there are already prepared roux. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the prepared roux are just fine. I mean, for somebody who has the time and wants to spend the time making their own roux, I think that's great. But the prepared roux are a real boon for people who are short on time, and I think they work just fine.
Well, good. Now, we should point out that those two recipes for those wonderful dishes you just saw from the Essential Louisiana Seafood Cookbook. And you can go to louisianalife.com, click on the house icon for store, and especially Eugenie's photographs and your recipes. What a great combination. Now let's move to desserts, and tell us about your blueberry pie.
Well, the blueberry pie, I love blueberries. It's one of my favorite things, and the blueberry pie is really a very easy thing to make. Fresh blueberries are the best, but if it's out of season and there aren't fresh berries, you could use frozen berries. But if you use frozen berries, don't defrost them first. Use them frozen, and they come out fine.
Oh, that's a good tip. Also, my goodness, you've got the mascarpone cheesecake with chocolate crust and raspberries.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites. When I did that, I was trying to get in some elements of tiramisu, which has the chocolate and the coffee and the mascarpone and all of that. So I kind of put that into a cheesecake, and the mascarpone really makes a wonderful, wonderful cheesecake.
And we should point out that those recipes are available by just going to louisianalife.com and scroll down on the food and drink recipe to just desserts, because this is, of course, from the March-April edition that's called Just Desserts. And let me show you the cover of that, which is really so colorful. And there's the famous blueberry pie. And then the current issue, you talk about kebabs, don't you?
Yes, I do. Talk about different kebabs, meat and chicken and vegetable kebabs.
Yeah. Now, Stanley, I mean, you were with Food and Wine. You've written other books too. So, were you from New Iberia, or what? You lived in New York and other places for so many years. Tell us about your connection to New Iberia.
Well, when I decided to leave New York, I moved back to Louisiana, and I went to college at USL in Lafayette. And this part of the state I've always loved ever since then, and I had a lot of friends in this area. So I came back. I didn't have any friends, particularly in New Iberia, but I looked all around, north, south, east, and west, and I found a place that I liked in New Iberia, and got wiped out by Hurricane Rita, but then moved into town.
Okay. Well, once again, Louisiana Life, you've been writing for them a long time. You are the kitchen gourmet, so check out Louisiana Life as well, too. Thank you so much. And moving
Thank
on
you, Peggy.
moving on to Asante. And Asante, the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities building right there in O'Keefe and Lafayette, the first floor has been transformed, hasn't it?
Completely. For folks who have seen it before, for many years, it has been gutted and completely renovated. We have flood walls. We have a beautiful space, Peggy.
And John Scott, for those who are not familiar, even though you should be familiar with John Scott,
Absolutely.
we're talking about somebody who had quite the legacy as an artist, as a teacher at Xavier, and oh my goodness, and a nice man. I got to know him a little bit, and very sweet. But he is, of course, known for his kinetic sculpture, his woodcuts. So this new center is really an homage to him, isn't it?
Yes, and it's also an opportunity for folks who are not familiar with his other work. There are woodcuts and the kinetic sculptures. There's also glass pieces. He did handcrafted casting and blowing of glass. He did metal pieces that he hand constructed, some that are super delicate. And if you're familiar with his work, that is the major public art pieces, seeing these smaller, refined pieces, especially with his calligraphy and the glass bricks.
We're going to show some of the pictures from the center, and we should point out that it's really more than a museum, because it's meant to be a place, a gathering place for discussions, for other exhibits as well, huh?
Absolutely. We call it an interactive hub. We've had a dinner with some early childhood educators who came to tour the space, have some conversation, roundtable, dialogue. We have screens to do film screenings, panel discussions. We have tables and chairs to do hands-on workshops. So the art is the inspiration and the catalyst for these interactive activities, Peggy.
Yeah.
And we look forward to collaborating with so many organizations and curators and artists.
Well, I know that you're going to have your grand opening on the 10th.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yes, we are setting up a tent in the parking lot, in the backyard. So everyone, please come out. We're going to have snowballs. We're going to have storytellers, some live music. And most of all, we're going to have an open house for the center so folks can have a guided tour or on your own to walk through the space to see the exhibit, to see the workshop space, the education gallery, and check us out.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is there is this, well, first of all, John Scott has children, Mr. and Mrs. Scott, and Io, their son Io is also an artist, and he did that mural out front, didn't he?
Yes, it's a stunning, stunning, stunning mural that features 3 of John Scott's public art sculptures that are located around the city. For folks who know the City Park location across from the new Children's Museum, there's that front center colored piece that's featured there. There's a black silhouette of the Mint Green Spirit House that's located on Desai Boulevard in Gentilly. Anytime you go to Jazz Fest or drive through Gentilly, you see that piece. And then there's also the Circle Dance that's on the river at Waldenburg Park.
Okay. And the building itself, where you're housed, of course, it's Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities.
Yes.
The shortcut is LEH.
Yes.
And it is an organization that's long been involved to supporting the arts and humanities, not only in New Orleans, but Louisiana as well. And so to take on this, and the Hellis Foundation, of course, is in the title, because they certainly have been longtime supporters. But it's got to be exciting. What is it, like 6,000 square feet or something?
6,000 square feet,
Just the first
4
floor.
galleries, 51 pieces of art, 64 chairs. We have tons of variety for activities of all ages, for elders, for children, for young folks, for the many hundreds of students that Scott taught over 42 years at Xavier, who are now accomplished artists in their own right, for his collaborators like Martin Payton and the other artists who are now sculptors, who are going to be sharing on a panel with us. And we look forward to having so many collaborations with those students and former collaborators.
So thank you so much. And, just by going to leh.org, you can get the details all about, of course, the John Scott Center. And I know
Yes.
you yourself are a visual artist. Congratulations. This is a good gig.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you for
You've
having
been
us.
very involved with the arts over the years as well in New Orleans, but wonderful. All right, well, thank you so much. And we're moving on to Alexis with the Friends of the Lafitte Greenway. Very briefly explain, for those who maybe are not familiar, what the Lafitte Greenway is, Alexis.
Sure, Peggy. So the Lafitte Greenway is a 2.6 mile long linear park that goes from the French Quarter all the way to Mid-City, and it allows commuting to work, and we have amazing local businesses all along this linear park. So we love it. It's a commuting place. It's a walking place. It's just a great place to get from one place from the city to the other.
Well, among the many ongoing activities, of course, on Thursday afternoons is a branch of the Crescent City Farmers Market,
Yes.
and that is right there at what is now North Norman C. Francis Parkway, formerly Jefferson Davis Parkway, and the Bayou. You kind of can't miss it, and the wonderful sculpture right there. But
Right.
Certainly a fixture on Thursdays. I mean,
Yes,
some folks, that might be the only thing they go to, but there's so much more.
Right. It's the city's largest farmers market.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know
every
that.
Thursday from 3 to 7, and there's local vendors that pop up there every single week. You can get local produce, flowers. I go every week to get my cucumbers. That's my favorite thing to get there, and it's just a wonderful. Place to meet your family and bring your kids and
Sure.
get your produce for the week or whatever you need. They have it. So
Now, some more big doings a few blocks down on St. Louis, and you said it's, I think, North Prier, a basketball court, and inspired by New Orleans Pelican, huh?
yeah. So actually, a community member, Jalen Gregg, came to us with this idea. The basketball court before was just a gray slab, and we've, with the help of many partners and sponsorships, we were able to work with the youth collective Be Light, and these young artists around the high school age came together, designed and implemented this beautiful mural. So we went from a gray slab to this gorgeous, colorful piece called Shine Together, and it's all about coming together as a community and celebrating, and especially in this time of need. We've been through a pandemic, and it's all about just coming together as a community.
And I know Jackson Hayes has been involved too, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Jackson Hayes, the Pelican, he was actually one of the first people to step up and donate money toward this wonderful piece of art, and many other collaborators and sponsorships were involved as well. Breeze Dream Foundation, United Way, BCM, and also Sneaker Politics was the first to donate as well. So
Yeah.
we had so many partners in this, and now every time you bike down or walk down the Greenway, you have this beautiful piece of art to look at.
And of course, for more information, friends of Lafitte Greenway, lafittegreenway.org. And one of the things I'm excited is that a lot of local businesses have opened along the Greenway, like French Truck Coffee at Scott,
Right,
and
French
the
Truck
Greenway.
Coffee. We have Flower Moon Bagels. We have Skeetahawk Brewing. We have so many local businesses, and actually that that plaza where the farmers market exists is where we hold our big event at the end of the year called Supernova, and it's a way that we can bring our community together and also celebrate all of these amazing local businesses.
Yes.
So we can talk about that more. But
yeah, we will
yeah.
shortly. And I know a lot of people remember what you're talking about, where the farmers market was where you used to get your brake tag.
Yeah, the brake tag station.
So some people, if they're hearing about this for the first time, they go, oh yeah, that's where I used to get the brake tag.
Exactly.
But anyway, well, I'm so glad. Thank you very much. Talk to you a little later. And now, Alan.
Well, we have some time still because the seasons have not started, but season tickets are still available for both the Sanger Theater and Rivertown Theaters of the Performing Arts. So I want to go over that. First of all, let's consider the Sanger Theater. They have some outstanding national tours who are going to be making their way here. Some of the earlier iterations of shows, sadly, because of COVID, are not going to be here, but several are, and of course, late to the game because of COVID. But let's take a look at first off, Pretty Woman, the musical. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere notwithstanding. The musical was held on Broadway for a number of months because of the fans' tenacity and going back to it. They kept coming back. The music is by Bryan Adams. Yes, that Bryan Adams, the summer of '69, and Jim Vallance, who's his writing partner and wrote pop hits like Cuts Like a Knife. Then 3 weeks later, it's going to be The Lion King. They return to the Sanger with these incredible costumes and direction by Julie Taymor after more than a quarter of a century on Broadway. It'll be the second time that I know of that the Elton John and Tim Rice Spectacular will be here. And then hold on to your royal crowns, Peggy, because the West End hit and Broadway smash dealing with the ex-wives of Henry VIII will arrive in royal fashion just after Thanksgiving. Whether they are divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, or survived, they'll be one of the highest intensity shows you will ever see. And then, just in time for the holidays, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical. Now, that book is now, believe it or not, 65 years old. And by the way, the Grinch's heart is still 2 sizes too small in this non-equity production. And the latest tour of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice's classic rock opera turned musical, Jesus Christ Superstar, arrives just after Twelfth Night. It's a new equity production that just last October celebrated, Peggy, its 50th anniversary, which I can't still believe. Then, of course, right after that, Tina, the musical, checks into the Sanger right in February for 6 nights, right before Mardi Gras, and you will have to see the high intensity of that one. The Broadway favorite, Fiddler on the Roof, will return to the Sanger just after Mardi Gras, based on the 2016 Broadway show that starred Danny Burstein. This is another non-equity touring show, but then, Peggy, the show that won Danny Burstein his Tony Award, Moulin Rouge, the musical, finally makes it to the Sanger at the beginning of April. And again, for sheer size and spectacular, you will not see anything bigger than this musical. And you'll understand why the Tony Award winner for Best Musical in 2021 was Moulin Rouge, the musical. And the season ends, Peggy, believe it or not, with a play. Richard Thomas, who we all know as John Boy,
yes,
he's going to be starring, of course, as Atticus Finch in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, a play written by Aaron Sorkin, which, by the way, has just enjoyed its greatest play status in terms of ticket sales on Broadway. Now, Rivertown Theaters, we were talking about them. They're going to have their season opening next week, and they're offering different options on their website. You go check that out. There's 7 shows in total. I can't show one of them because they're not legally able to show it, but the national tour of Kinky Boots is on the road and off Broadway. Jake just transferred to New York, but you can see their version, directed by Donald Jones Jr., starting next week. And then in October, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas comes to Rivertown. It's maybe not recommended for the little ones, but this one is always a fan favorite, to be directed by Gary Rucker. Then, of course, Gary's co-artistic director, Kelly Fushi, directs a first-time ever all-female creative staff in Disney's Frozen Jr., which runs in December, just in time for Christmas. And check out those dates as far as that goes. A funny thing on the happened on the way to the Forum. Ricky Graham, of course, who was a wonderful pseudolist at Summer Lyric a few years back, he's going to be directing this one, the comical Force by Stephen Sondheim, and because of a legal situation, I can't say what it is. You can check it out online. The Olivier Award was awarded in London, and the Tony Award for Best Play. This particular funny play is going to be on a comedy. You can't go wrong with that one. And their season ends with either SpongeBob Musical or Newsies, depending on which version you pick of that subscription. Gary Rucker will direct SpongeBob, and Kelly will direct Newsies. Peggy, just got to check out one other thing. I have a show, of course, coming up with Donald Jones Jr. On my Facebook page that we have, the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, and the NOLA Theater Talk Show is going to feature Donald Jones on September the 12th. It's also seen on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page and also my own YouTube channel, so you can check that out on a week from Monday. And finally, in terms of Rivertown, they are the new site for the Mark Cortali Presents series, formerly held at NOCA. There's Mark Cortali with the person who's coming back to New Orleans, Christine Ebersol, the two-time Tony Award winner. I took that back in 2018, and I also have a photo I took with my beloved mother, who was still very much with us back then in 2018. And that's to show you how tall Christine Ebersol is. She's a very tall lady. And again, she's going to be accompanied by the brilliant Billy Stritch on piano. Tickets are available right now through the Rivertown Theater's website. And believe it or not, Peggy, I got through it all.
You did. You did. Great job. So many good things, you know, and so much to talk about with theater. And even like in summer, there was stuff to talk about, you know. So it goes on and on. Thank you very much, Alan.
All right.
And now it's time for our picks of the week. Stanley. I know you wanted to talk about podcast, huh?
Yes, we did. I did an interview with Errol Laborde on Louisiana Insider, and that's available. You can watch it through Louisiana Life.
All right, very good. Also, I've heard it through Apple too, and you can ask Alexa to play it for you. So it's pretty available, but it's a really good interview too. Thank you. And moving on to Asante.
Pick of the week. We have a panel discussion coming up on Thursday, September 22nd, that's introducing folks to collaborating at the crossroads at the John Scott Center, the Hellis Foundation John Scott Center, 4:30 to 6:30. Come and learn about John Scott, the center, and opportunities to work together on programming and partnership.
Right, thank you. Alexis.
Yes, we have at the Greenway, we have Supernova at the end of this year. It's December 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's our third annual free light-based art festival that's happening on the plaza right by the bayou. We have food vendors and art vendors, and we invite 10 plus visual artists to show their pieces, and we have music all 3 nights. So it's something you don't want to miss, and we just put our all call out for our food, art, and visual artists vendors. So please check our website out, lafittegreenway.org/supernova.
Thank you. Alan.
Peggy, I want to remind everybody about the Le Petit Theater fundraisers this coming week. First off, on Friday is going to be the Curtain Call Ball, and then Emily Skinner on Saturday night. As for my pick, I want to remind everybody about the season opener for the LPO and the final season for our artistic director, Carlos Prieto Jr. They're going to kick off with the Mahler Symphony No. 1, also known as the Titan Symphony, and I hope people will be there at the Orpheum, kick things off, hear the Star Spangled Banner play for the first time of the season, and again, I'll see you at the theater.
You know, Alan, one of the really nice things about going to the Orpheum and the LPO, too, is that you can go and have a really nice dinner beforehand right there at the Roosevelt and you know, and park right there. I mean, it's just a great, to me, urban evening, you know, downtown, big time, like you're in the Big Apple or something. Instead, you're here in New Orleans.
And more to my liking, they also have a beautiful bar that's been established at the Orpheum, too. So if you want to have a pre-show cocktail before the concert, you can go over there, and they have some really interesting cocktails that would even make some of the people from Tales of the Cocktail envious.
And there's even a little speakeasy, below in the basement as well. So it's pretty fun stuff. And they have a Sazerac at that cocktail bar you're talking about too, in the lobby. And I know you like your Sazerac.
I'm talking about the speakeasy now. I've been at but you know, when I want a Sazerac though, I'll probably go across the street to the Roosevelt.
Right, exactly. So all kinds of choices for Sazeracs, but the ultimate Sazerac. Right. Thank you. Before Before I go to my picks, though, I just wanted to mention the passing of attorney and civic activist Sharon Perlestein here with her dear brother David. She was a longtime board member for WYES and served as board chair, and she devoted countless hours to the station. We really, really are going to miss her. The Araby Visual Arts Gallery has opened a new exhibit. It's 65 works of art featuring over 23 artists. The show's theme is Metamorphosis, from marginal to magnificent. And these works are inspired by and or created by those who have ever felt marginalized. Open Tuesdays through Thursdays, Tuesdays through Sundays at 6707 St. Claude Avenue. And that's at Mealy. And, they really are working hard out there to do a first-class job with their exhibits. So check it out. It's worth the little drive. And look at this, beautiful. The amorphous crystal. Congratulations to them. ArabyVisualArts.com for more information. Finally, don't miss the new Leviathan Oriental Foxtrot Orchestra concert as part of the Twilight Concert Series at City Park's Pavilion of the Two Sisters. Food and drink are available, including mint juleps and the 15-piece orchestra. They're amazing. They play music from the early 1900s into the 20s and 30s. Gates open at 5. Music starts at 6 p.m. And, of course, that's at the Pavilion of the Two Sisters, who he's had. And before we go, though, we got to go back to Alexis for a moment, because Alexis, how long have you had Alexis and the Samurai and been involved with Sweet Crude?
Oh my goodness, almost 13 years now. So, and it's so great that my worlds are colliding with the Greenway and my music connections, and we can just, it's all a big gumbo pot, in New Orleans.
And you were also a teacher, huh?
I was a teacher, yeah, for 7 years. So it's wonderful how everything's connecting now.
Absolutely. And speaking of back to the Lafitte Greenway, of course, a real nice amenity is the Broadside, which is practically along the Lafitte Greenway. And I know that that's going to be opening up again with live acts as well as the Broad Theater. You've played there, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. We've played there multiple times. Brian, the owner, is incredible, and he's going to be a huge part of Supernova this year. So make sure you mark those calendars, December 8th, 9th, and 10th, to come see some music and art.
Sounds very good. Well, thank you all so very much, Stanley and Asante, and of course, Alan. And thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org.